Here I am, Leon C, aka Morpheus. And I'm gonna try to make this very short and simple because I really don't like the subject. Because it's talking about me. Hold on, look like I need to take a red pill swig here. It's talking about me. And I really don't like to describe myself in any degree. I do my best to avoid discussing who I am as an individual. Now let's get something very, very clear. When I do speak about a experience of my own, or if I talk about myself in any sort of descriptive manner, it is 100% towards the lessons that we are to learn. But one thing about myself that I have understood over the years is I really do not care about a person's opinion about me. I'm not concerned about if a person likes me, if they do not like me, if I am looked at as, you could say, as a valued male or number one top pick, or if I'm just particularly a pawn or this schoolboy who's still learning how to grow. But most times those evaluations really isn't up to me. I'm not the one who beats on his chest and tell you who I am. When it comes to Morpheus, when it comes to Alpha, when it comes to Red Pill, I'll break that down in just a little bit. And as I have explained to you before in a few of my first audios, these aren't things that I have titled myself to be. This is my followers. These are the people that I know personally in my life. These are those who try to turn the mirror on myself during my conversations with them. What they'll do is they'll blurt out the names, they'll blurt out their description of who I am, and then I would have eventually denied them on a constant basis, not understand why they'd call me who I am, such as Morpheus, Alpha, Red Pill, so forth and so on. Red Pill came later on. Alpha was the question mark upon my head. I didn't know anything about Alpha, as a matter of fact. And I was picked on for it, but I will explain that to you in just a little bit. All right, just hang tight. But just know in the beginning passage that everything that I do, I look at it as if being a role model for those who are needing manly guidance. You'll be surprised there are so many men in the country, and especially growing teenagers and guys around the age 20, 21, 22. They're living a blue pill beta lifestyle. And a lot of them, they don't have a father figure. Many of them have been raised with a single mother. So in my lessons in this academy of wow men, and as your pretend professor here, all right, it is my task to be an example. So since I'm not with these men on an everyday basis, we don't personally hang out with each other. That's those of the YouTube channel. We don't see each other on the often, and we don't live our everyday side by side. So you cannot see Red Pill Morpheus. You can't see me like that. So I do all that I can to put my examples in word. I do everything that I can with my expressions, with my emotions, with my energy, with my thought patterns, and definitely with my examples to let you see what you could do if you were to apply that to your life. So therefore, I am more into the theatrics of talking about what is necessary. What's the difference between alpha? What does it mean to be alpha? What does it mean to be a beta? What does it mean to be a masculine male? What does it mean to be an individual? What does it mean to be a free soul? But I would tell you that all of this, mostly all of this, goes beyond just the physical. You understand? Looks is a small thing. Looks is very deceptive. And when you look at the outside persona of an individual and you think that that determines who they are, you will be woefully failing yourself. It's no different than, let's say, a beautiful girl who you may think is a 10. She's a very beautiful girl, and she might be amongst the 10. She might be, let's make logic here. That's what we do as men. All right. So let's say we have 10 women in the room. All 10 women are 23 years old. All right. And when it comes to the scale of beauty, let's say they're between 7s and 10s. So you can imagine how much of a beautiful scene that might be. So let's move alpha aside for a moment. Let's do the same with the alpha. Let's give you 10 alphas in a room that you will say, let's just say that they're alpha in the description of alpha. Okay. And we're going to get to them in a moment. So you go to the women's room and you see all these women, and immediately first thing you think, well, hold on, adjust this microphone here. All right. I adjusted my microphone. Now check this out. Now you're looking at all the women and you're looking for that number one woman. You're looking for this girl who's going to be completely compatible for you, or at least have the highest percentage of what you are requesting from her. You got that? So you could call this girl, just for the sake of this lesson, call her the alpha female, the alpha in her group, because she's going to be alpha in your world. She's going to be, and I'm gonna get to that in a moment, what is alpha? Okay. And I'm going to, in a moment, I can go to the Webster's dictionary of what alpha mean. But as we understand, we have been manipulating the words for so long. We have a different prescription and understanding what alpha is, or what being a masculine male is as well over the generations. But we're going to keep it simple right now. Okay. And I will tell you this, the reason why as well, I have to speak about it. I don't want to. This is not my genre. This is not what I care about, but because in my description, there's been times in my lessons I've said that I was alpha, but I'm going to break that down to you as to how and why and how I came to that knowledge. And I'm going to give that to you in a moment. But the reason is I received, let's see, what was the dates? It was this past week. I have been receiving numerous, at least 11 or 12 or so requests as to what my definition of alpha is. And I don't know why they all rushed in, which I really don't care. You know, really, in the mind of Morpheus, I really don't care what you think about what alpha and masculinity is, when my whole channel, my whole angle is just for you to be the best version of yourself. Whatever your best version of yourself may be, that's based on you and your desire for life. You understand? That's based on what you identify, because that's the same as any type of definition that we can pull out of the sky. It's based on you. It's not based on the next person. You get that? So therefore, I've not the subject that I'm interested in talking about, but I will do that because I have promised in the beginning phases of my, or shall I say, our channel, that I would do my best to answer any question. So I'm going to do that. And I will expect that I never have to do it again. So let's say you call this girl the alpha female, right? So you're expecting a certain virtue, you're expecting a certain value, and you're expecting a certain longevity. Now, let me give you a black box that's within your mind. In order for you to evaluate these girls, in order for you to know who is who, you have to be the best version of yourself. You have to know who you are and where you line up. This, on the other end, is where you are required. Listen carefully. You are required to know where you line up in your own manosphere, not the men who are in the room with the 10 alphas that you, I guess I have to go. I don't have no choice but to go ahead and talk about the identity of them. Some people, or you can say generally, a lot of people think alpha is based on the way that you look. You have to be tall. You have to have a square jaw. You have to have broad shoulders, blah, blah, blah. List goes on. Okay. So when you really, really look at it, most times that's just visual. That's the surface level. You're looking at the outside of the book. So what you're doing is when you say that about a male, a masculine male, alpha male, or just a man in general, you are doing him no justice. What you're doing are any set individuals, you're discrediting that man as an individual. That's right. You're discrediting him. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to go further with this because that's how I do as a red pill. Okay. You are not doing him any justice because what you're doing is you're saying this guy is just a husk because of the way that he looks. The way he looks is insignificant to what he does. Listen, alpha is not the way you look. Alpha is what you do. Do you understand? Wait a minute. Let me say that again. Alpha is not what you look like. Alpha is what you do. All right. So you will say, okay, Morpheus, break that down. I want better understanding with this. I'm going to give you simple facts that probably even a 9-year-old can understand. All right. So in order for this alpha guy to understand who is in that room, who's going to be compatible for him out of the 10 women, guess what he has to do? He has to use, check this out. Here we go. Logic. He has to use self-understanding. And guess what, gentlemen? What else does he have to do? What I just tell you? He has to know who he is, and he has to be his best version of himself. That's absolutely correct. Because if he does not have the ability to evaluate this woman who is compatible for him, check this out. If he don't have that black box, he would never, ever have the ability to determine which girl in that room is the alpha female. Now, if he's going with a blue pill beta mind and he's treating her as if she would treat him as far as the visual, oh, he's tall and etc., that makes him alpha. So he goes in the room and say, oh, she's 23 and she's young enough. And that's what's going to make her alpha female. Guess what? Guess what? You're actually diminishing the man's mind. Actually, what you're doing is to that alpha male, you're telling him he's just a walking dodo bird. He's a dummy. Okay. And therefore, in this lesson of Academy of Wildmen, and here's your facts here. In this lesson, in our channel here right now that you're listening to, I don't discuss the outer realm of who you are as a male, whether you be a bird, a donkey, a tree limb, or a moron from space Dubu. You understand? I'm concerned about who you are within yourself. Who you are within yourself, you will know how you line up with your women companions or with the outside world. If you don't know who you are, you can't evaluate anything. You could be anything. It don't matter. I just told you whether you're alpha, whether you are a child, whether you're a 19-year-old boy, whether you're just a regular school teacher, whether you're just a plumber, whether you're just a gynecologist, a police officer, it don't matter who you are. What matters is what's underneath you. It's not what you do. I mean, it's not what you look like. It's what you do. Okay. That is the rule of thumb. That is the number one foundation. It's not what you look like. It's what you do that matters. All right. There's many definitions in the Webster's dictionary. There's many ideas of what a person can be, such as, let's go a little bit further. Like the word pervert, for example, you hear it thrown around all the time. Women use that a lot in almost every situation. But if you notice when you watch movies, when you get around personal circles and situations, you will notice that they're only using that word just to attack the other individual, or they will be using that word wrongly based on a very natural situation, such as a guy who's just interested in her and gives her a single compliment. Then she'll go back to a girlfriend and say, oh, I met this pervert today who complimented me on my breasts. But yet she's the one who walks around with her brassiere revealing itself and pretty much spilling out of her breast or out of her bra. So therefore, she will use that word and label this guy based on just that simple interaction. But that's not what he have done in the interaction. He was doing what any sensible male would do, or a man who's attracted to a female who's obviously looking for attention. You got that? So the word that will stick out will be pervert. So if everyone in her circle says, oh, this guy who approached my friend is an absolute pervert, and they label him as that, guess what? You didn't do that guy any justice. You just smashed that guy in the face for no reason. You just pretty much misjudged this guy. You misjudged them. So, therefore, let's go to these 10 groups of alpha guys who don't know who the heck they are because of the social engineering of us thinking that they're alpha just because of the way that they look. Okay, so here it is. That's where they stop. The story ends right here. The mathematical equations of the alpha girls, one alpha girl in that room versus the 10 alpha guys, it stops right here. Listen, the lesson is Morpheus cannot go any further. If I did the mathematical equations, I just told you, it's going to be subtraction. What it means is he don't know the girl in the other room and she don't know who he is, because you know what she's doing? She'll say all of them are alpha because of what? Because they're tall. You see that? Because they have a square jaw, because they have broad shoulder, and that's it. That's where the game ends. At this point, we can no longer have any other discussion. At this point, actually, the classroom's done. You'll say, okay, Morpheus, what happens? You know, what's the solution to it? There's no solution. It's two opposites that actually, these are two of the same dimes that retract each other. They don't attract each other. They retract each other. They repel. It's a repellent situation. It's neutral. We can't go no further. You understand? So let's go any deeper than this. Let me go ahead and give you the red pill for those who open up your mind. Here's your red pill. Let me go ahead and take you another one, because now the lesson begins. Now, let's talk about the lessons here. Now, let's say that this gentleman, these 10 guys in the room, they studied from the Academy of Wildman here. Underneath Morpheus, your red pill provider. And let's say they have understood what it means to be an alpha by activity. You get that? They understand what it means to be a masculine male by my teaching and again, activity, by my lessons. I told you in the beginning what I do. Let's say they got the hook and they're like, okay, Morpheus, I get it. I hear you. I hear how you talk. I'm going to do it. You know what? I'm going to do this. I may be 5'4". I may be 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", but you know what? I know who I am in my skin. All right. And let's put this guy in the back room. Let's put him in the back room behind the 10 so-called tall guys. So the 5'10", 5'11" guy is sitting there with his arms crossed. His time is not up yet, but you know what? He has a role in this, but let him sit there for a moment. All right. Let him be cool as a cat behind them. All right. And so what happens is this. After the alpha say, okay, or the tall guys like, well, I understand. I get the hook. I got the idea. Let me figure this out. Okay. But if they do not get the game, if they do not understand what Morpheus is teaching, they are already null. They have repelled each other. They are insignificant to the girls in the other room. You understand? So what will happen is once that tall guy gets the information and they know who they are, they understand what it means to be just a male, just to be a simple male. You got to start there. Just be a male. Okay. And they get the red pill. They understand the traps and the signals and the red flags, and they understand it all. So they go in there. They have the vision of Neo now. Okay. This is when Neo's standing in the room and he believes in himself. Now he realizes who he is. What he does is now he can see through the walls. Now he can identify who is Agent Smith, who isn't Agent Smith. And how he does this is by spending time with those girls, or at least listening to them and watching how they approach him. Most of them, they're going to approach him. Why? Because he's tall. They say, oh, you are alpha. You are ba, 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 and they're done. Meaning they have no quality to offer him because of their misperception. Again, they're only looking at him for the size of the book. That's it. Not the quality or the quantity of what he can provide within itself. All right. So let's go even further than that. Let's just say, for example, one of the girls, again, she is an alpha male. This alpha male is funny. She's the alpha female. What this alpha female would do, she can see him now. Now she sees through him because now she's Neo as well. And so she knows, she's like, wait a minute. Yeah, this guy is tall, but But listen, what does he do? You understand? She's like, yeah, see, he's tall. I've dealt with plenty of tall guys like that before. I've dealt with basketball players. I've been with football players. I've been with guys all over the country who's that tall, but I'm not interested in that. I want to know, what does he do? So let's say, for example, everybody's saying, oh, this is alpha male. And you're like, okay, yeah. How? Because he's tall? Because he has broad shoulders? The girl's like, no, listen, this is the alpha female right here that I'm trying to talk like her. She's like, yeah, but that's nice, but I had them before. Like, no, I'm not interested in that. No, I'm not going to waste my time with that. Why would I care that he's tall? I need to know, what can he do for me? Okay. And so if the women that are the 9 of the women, if they're like, oh, he can protect me because he's 6 feet tall, or he's strong because he's 6 feet tall, these girls will always find themselves in a very, very problematic situation, because oftentimes that's not true. Oftentimes it's a misconception, because rule number 1, wise men told us, listen, the Proverbs in the old days, wise men have told us, your mom told you, your daddy told you, a stranger will tell you, television tells you, the president tells you, the entire country would tell you, a dumb 5-year-old will tell you. Okay. I'm not calling them dumb. I'm just saying. Okay. An uneducated person would tell you to the face, never, 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 never judge a book by its cover. Never judge what you see. You cannot do that. When you do that, you are a backwards walking mammal. You are a retard to yourself, and you're going to destroy yourself if you never read the book, but all you do is say, oh, this book is wonderful because of the cover. So let's say, for example, you have a society of people who just read read the cover of the book and you think you know everything about it. That will be very, very disastrous. You understand? I got to break it down simple like this. We have to break it down. Okay. So she's like, getting back to the alpha female, she's like, no, I'm not interested in that. So what? What can you do? How committed are you? What can you provide? You know, what kind of skills do you are? Are you really a coward within yourself? Because I've seen many tall men who would duck underneath the table. Okay, I've seen many tall men who make failures out of themselves. Okay, the list goes on. So therefore, what she's doing as well, she can see right past the BS. All right. She can see right past the BS. Now, listen, there's 2 categories of male and female. Okay. And I've given this to you, but I'm going to give it to you in this one because it applies quite well. There are 3 frequencies of an average human being. There is the common. There is the low hanging fruit, which is a low profile human. Then there's the advanced human. In this case, the women who would run to him just because he's tall, she is at a low frequency. Okay. But she don't know, because oftentimes they are made common, because guess what? It's called social engineering, because you get people telling you on social media or maybe TV or somewhere else telling you, well, you need to be with this guy who's 6 feet tall because he can do whatever. What do you call that? That's stereotyping. It's called judging. It's called misperceiving the information, and it's called deceiving yourself, because you're judging by what you see, not what you know. So what does that make you? That makes you a low hanging fruit. That makes you a low profile individual, where you are lower species. You are a low human thinking individual. So you put yourself in chaotic situations. You'll cause a chaotic problem for yourself. And oftentimes these girls, when they do chase after guys who's 6 feet tall just because they think he's alpha, they get themselves heartbroken. They get themselves warped out. They get themselves in a position where they're no good for any other sensible guy, because they're chasing these tall guys and thinking that they are of quality, and they're not. All they're doing is throwing themselves to the swine, or before the swine. But the alpha female knows this already. The alpha female has virtue. The alpha female is smarter than looking at a person for who they are. The alpha female is like, no, I'm looking for quality, just like the alpha male is looking for quality. You got that? her vision is the same because she's also Neo, and she's looking right past the book cover. And listen, she's reading what he is capable of doing. She don't want to hear you stop. He's alpha. No, act like one, be one. You are one within yourself. That sort of thing. Let me take another swig here. All right. So I don't want this to be all drawn out. I'm gonna get back to it here. So she sits back and say, well, you girls can go ahead and chase. I'm gonna sit back here for a moment. I'm gonna hold back. So she holds herself back, and the 9 girls move forward, and they're like, well, I want to be Mrs. Jones. I want to be Mrs. Jones. So they're the low frequency people. Okay. Or you can say they transform themselves only today in the Western world to be the common thinking human, because they allow themselves to be socially engineered, because they all agree. They'll say, well, I guess because he's tall, he's alpha. So they destroy themselves by their misconception, because they all sign up to read the title of the book and then read the outside cover, but never read the content. So they all become, guess what? Let's do the math. Let's continue on as we continue, right? Where this dude, okay, realize that their quality is no quality at all, that they're just going with the program. They're just going because somebody said, oh, you need to chase this 9-foot tall person and he will protect you, whatever, which is a misconception. As a physical trainer, as a physical person, as a person who's always in the realm of counseling and speaking to people and hanging out, okay, I can tell you right now that will be completely wrong. Okay, you will be woefully surprised of the men that I am always around. Some of them are taller than me. Some of them, they have broad shoulders. A few of them have square jaws, but they are completely weak. They are manipulated by women. They are manipulated by themselves. And they are very, very, very pitiful. It's only a handful of them who comprehend that they have to be male. It's not that they have to be alpha. They have to be male. They have to know what it means to be a man in the new world, which is most important. It's not about labeling yourself if you're alpha, if you are masculine or not. You're just who you are. You just maintain what you know things to be based on your knowledge that's given to you by the previous years. Or you can say the current years. So let's do the math and continue. So what happens is the 9 girls end up becoming useless. They're useless. They're used up. They throw themselves to the 6-foot tall guy on a constant basis, or the 6-foot tall other guys now who have stepped forward from that one alpha male that might understand what's going on. Okay, so it becomes a cluster catastrophe. So now, guess what? Here we go. The 5'10", 5'11" guy steps forward now. Now he's stepping forward. He's like, I'm going to look for a companion. I got myself together. I got the red pill. I've heard about, I hear Leon C, aka Morpheus, and he's talking some real good game. He taught me a lot. He opened up my eyes to the details that I have to be the best version of myself. I need to be the one who's in the lead. I need to be the one who's controlling the circle. I need to be the one to make my life. And speaking upon that matter, and if y'all have not noticed, I really need y'all to notice the way I was teaching you. Listen carefully. This should destroy everything. Okay? A true alpha, or a true 1-to-1 man, what that means is a guy who's on his own square, basically. Okay? He makes his life. He makes the path. He makes his way. He's not willing to be the passenger driver of his own car. He's not willing to sit on the sissy bar of his own Harley Davidson. He's going to be the driver of his life. And I've been teaching you that since the first audio, is that you are to be the best that you are, that you take control of your life. You make it, you name it, you talk about it, you write it, make sure it's your signature. Did I not tell you that? Did I not tell you that? I told you that. All right. So in this lesson, the 5'10", 5'11" guy got the memo. So now he's his own guy now. He makes his own way. See, the thing is about being a masculine alpha male. You don't complain. You do it. You don't sit here and march for something. You make it happen. You're not going to complain and get emotional about anything. You're just going to you just make your way. If you listen to what I've been telling you in every audio, if you listen like you were supposed to, you will realize that's exactly what I was telling you to do. You understand? You don't need to be emotional about something. You be calm. I told you about situations where I've dealt with horrible situations and I put my hands in my pocket and sit there as calm and just staring at them in the face. What do I mean by looking at you in your face? Where I'm not moving, calm as a tiger sitting still. An alpha one-to-one man is a guy who don't need to jump off of the balcony because he's scared of something. He don't need to sit there and get emotional with you about anything. He'll just stand there and deal with you face to face, and sometimes without saying anything, and then combat you with some logic, with sensible, we're going to get this done this way because it only makes sense this way. There's no need to arm wrestle with you. Who's the best man? Who's not the best man? I've gave you that example practically in every audio. You got that? Very, very simple. So therefore, you will know how this equation and this mathematical logic is being played out before your mind as I describe it to you in this story. So the 5'10", 5'11" guy gets that. So he gains his own. So he's non-emotional while the rest of them are losing their mind. This tall guy is on child support. He's on alimony. He's ragged around the court system, pretty much useless to himself. Okay. And with his potential to provide, he don't have too much of a skill because he depends on how tall and how big he is. I've told you again in the past about guys who thought they were tough and rough because they were 6 foot tall. And they felt like because they were 250, 260 pounds, they never need to work out. They were all good. I've seen many of them get slammed down on the mat. I'm a martial artist. I know this. I've seen so many of them put in a chokehold. I've seen so many of them fly out of the dojo face first. I've seen a lot of them get in the locker room and they would bully one person who's 5'6", and they say, "Oh, you just start talking about him. You need to do this, man. Don't no woman like you, man, because you ain't man enough." And because of his pride, because of male pride, listen, because of male pride and because he felt like he needed to prove something to this 6 foot tall person, this 6 foot tall person ended up getting pulled out of the locker room on a stretcher. Do you not understand? It had nothing to do with him being 6 foot tall and 250, 270 pounds. You will woefully be deceiving yourself thinking that that's what it means to be alpha. That has nothing to do with what you think alpha is. You end up deceiving people. Don't you understand? People lose their lives per year. Let me tell you what happens. Let's get smart with this for those who don't calculate logic here. Let's say you get in a situation. No, well, I won't say you. Just pretend as if you're this person. And you have all this fear that 6 feet tall, 250 pounds can crush you and eliminate you. And this is our high school to our college years. And it happens. And it has happened through history. And it's still happening because we're morons. OK, I'm just telling you like that, throwing that in between. And you go into the locker room and you got a piece on you. Right. And this person, I guess I'm not going to say it's you on this because I don't want you to think that you would do something like that. I know you wouldn't, because I know that you're smarter than that, Neo. You wouldn't be in my academy if you wasn't. OK, this person is so afraid and so full of pride and so troubled and feel like they need to prove themselves. So let's say that this 6 feet tall person, 250 pounds, is a bully. I've seen it happen. I know that. I got personal acquaintances that are like that, and I got to keep them in check all the time because they think they jolly green giant. They can go push around everybody. Okay, this is real talk here. This is a man talking to another man. If you can't handle it, get gone. And what happens is that person who's 5'6", 5 foot. I'm just gonna say 5'6". I know he's probably taller than that, but just 5'6" guy. He's scared. He's scared. He don't want to talk back to the tall guy because he thinks he's going to get smashed. Tall guy threatening him, talking bad about him, pushing him aside, talking about what he's going to do to his wife or girlfriend. You ain't ever going to be nobody. So what happens is the 5'6" guy is in fear now because he thinks this 6 foot tall guy is going to crush him. So he automatically would think, listen, You lost the war. When you come to the battlefield and you think you're going to lose, then you're going to lose. You lose with your mind first. That's right. You've lost the war. When in your mind, you already thought that you lost or you are afraid and you think you're going to lose, then that means when you actually go out there to battle, you're going to lose. So in his mind, he thinks that he has no chance to win. He has no chance to fight back. He has no chance to survive a situation between him and this so-called 6 foot tall guy, this 6 foot tall person. So what does he do? What he would do is, instead of fighting with his bare fist because he thinks his bare fist is pointless, guess what? He's going to go grab a piece. He's going to go in his locker and grab a piece. He's going to pull out a piece and he's going to use a blower on this 6 foot tall guy. All right. I've seen that happen several times as well before I start doing my evaluation, see what's going on. See, what they'll do is they'll call it domestic violence, homicide, blah, blah. I'm a smart guy to say, wait a minute. No. This is psychology. This guy was scared over nothing. This guy was afraid for his life because he figured that this 6 foot tall guy was going to be a monster. So he felt like his only choice was to use an arm to defend himself. I'm telling you nothing but real talk here. So guess what happens? The 6 foot tall guy actually buries himself by walking around thinking that he is the dominator of the scene, whether inadvertently or not inadvertently. And at the same time, by the social engineering by those around him saying, guess what? He's 6 foot tall. He can crush you. Right? That sort of thing. So therefore, he's out of the game. Both of them are done. So when you judge a person by the cover, you're going to give yourself a disadvantage, period. So let's go forward with this. So now I already told you the 5'10", 5'11" guy steps forward. Now he's ready to look for the female. He's looking for a female. He don't know what type of female this is, but he know his type. He know what he wants in his work. He wants her to be virtuous. She needs to have value. She needs to have some juice left over. She needs to be bright-eyed, capable of, compromise, and just coming up with a decent relationship that's going to benefit the both of them. And she's able to support his world. So he goes into the room, and this girl who moved back, remember the alpha female stood back from the other, mindless 9 girls who are now useless. So he vets all the rest of the girls out, and he realized they're all no good. Some of them single mothers, some of them like 190 pounds. A couple of them they got tattoos everywhere. They got nose rings, bull rings. Another one colored her hair rainbow. Another one's walking around in yoga pants, pretty much exposing everything. And she don't want to be told what to do. So he don't want to be with her because she ain't going to do nothing but not listen to him. And it's going to be a battle every day. So he's like, you know what? I'm tired of this. So he meets this alpha female. As a matter of fact, she can see him from a mile away. Because now when they meet each other somewhere in the middle, whether it might be on, I don't know, it could be social media. It could be out in the store. It can be out at Starbucks. It can be anywhere at any time. They meet each other. They meet each other in the middle. Again, this 5'11" person versus this alpha female. This alpha female is going to look at him the same way she looked at all the 6 foot the 6 foot tall people. Men. And she's like, wait a minute. I see something in this person right here. Because like on the Matrix, when he was able to see through and see all the Agent Smith, one of the guys back there, which is the 5'11" guy, in her eyes is lit up yellow, all bright yellow, almost like a blinding light. She's like, wait a minute, something special about this guy. Let me see if I can give him a chance, give him an opportunity, give him some time, especially if she's got her mind right. So you can consider this girl to be the unicorn if you want to, or the 1 out of a million. There's plenty of them out there. It's just 1 out of a million, though, to be honest with you. So I guess you can say it's not plenty of them, but it will be 1 out of 100 who's going to be accurate in your life. But I'm not going to tell you how to get, you already know already. I'm not going to tell you how to get this girl and what it would take to figure out where she's at. I'm just going to tell you that time and suffering and the money that it would take to filter out all these the females to find the diamond in the rough is almost nearly impossible today. So you might as well forget it. You might as well just go ahead and wait for the universe to bring her your way, or just for some happenstance situation where you run across each other. And then that's where That's where the connection begins. The vibe begins. So now they meet each other, and he's like, well, I vetted out the rest of the girls, and I've got a chance to see what they're all about. And he sits back for a little while. Then he finds that alpha female as they meet each other some kind of way. And here he is as well. He's able to see exactly who she's all about as well. And in his mind and heart is saying, bingo, bingo. And over spending time with her because he's the best version of himself, because he understands the inner core of being able to filter out the qualities within her by Morpheus's lessons and being the best version of himself. Now, since he's the best version of himself, he has nothing but value to add to her life. And if she's doing what she's supposed to do, being an alpha female in her mind straight, and she's not a part of the group, of course, obviously, she let the 9 of them go ahead and get screwed over, right? So she has something left over, right? So obviously she has some type of value to add to his life. He has something that he can gain from being with her, whether it may be physical, maybe be spiritual, maybe intimately, right? Foreplay, whatever it might be. There's something that could be added to his life because she stood back and she didn't allow herself to be deceived by reading a book by its cover. Do we have that? Have y'all followed me thus far? Did you follow me this far? Now, guess what's going to happen? They will click. Now listen, now the story begins. Now we can actually go forward with this mathematical equation. This logic works. Actually, this is what opens up the door to other numerous possibilities as far as them maintaining their relationship. Okay. But the both of them never knew anything or never even thought about alpha or what it means to be at the top of your game while they came to each other. How did they survive? How did they unify out of all this chaos? Because it never mattered about what the person looks like. It matters what the person does. Okay, they read each other's book from the beginning page to the end. It starts off at first, but you have to read the book. The first part of meeting somebody is always going to be attraction. If you stop there, you are a small-minded individual. You are a low profile, you're a low-hanging fruit human being. Okay, you got it? Today in this generation, we are making low profile, low hanging fruit, individualized thinking, okay, a common ground. So now the social engineering is based on the plutonic, is based on what the person looks like. It's based on judging them if they're tall, if they're short, if they got big shoes, if they got small shoes, the list goes on. So they fail themselves. You got that? But for you, my listeners, for the Neos who are listening, you understand that it's about the contents of the book, not the context. It's about what's within that person that makes them who they are, not the exterior. You got it? So that should give you more of a gumption of why there's a difference there and why there should be a filtering mechanism. If you have no filter, you don't know who you are. There's no need to even try to get involved in a relationship if you don't have a filtering mechanism of any common sense or sensible logic. Now, when it comes to myself, if you've listened to the audios, I gave you little tidbits of my past and how I became who I was. All right. And I heard a lot of people say that alphas are born, they're not made. Okay. And, the funny thing about it is when you say they're born, sometimes you don't know that you're alpha, but you have to go through situations to know that you're alpha, because sometimes your experiences awaken that seed within yourself. You will come across situations that people, let's just say, for example, your environment might put you down. There are those who will say you'll never beat anybody. There are those who just pick on you. There are those who will categorize you. And for a long time, you would think that that's your destiny for the rest of your life. But as you go through life, you go through situations, you start studying, you start learning of things, then you will start to expose the type of person that you are within yourself. It will raise the seed up within your mind and you begin to wake up. That's when it comes to the time you get consciousness, you start getting instincts and you start getting awareness. Like, but I myself, when people start pointing their finger at me saying, oh, you're alpha, you're this and this type of person with attributes and being the tallest person in the room. And there was a time where I was talking with a couple of my classmates. This was in grade school. I can never forget. And I was trying to be as quiet as possible. And the teacher walked in the room. Little C, be quiet. I was like, what? How did you know I was talking? He's like, I can hear you all the way down the hallway. I'm like, no, man, get out of here. No, I can hear you all the way down the hallway. Okay. In the matchup of all things, I was always in the front. I was always the one who was invited practically everywhere. And you're talking about women. You'll say something like, well, alpha get all the women. Women chase after alphas and they don't have to do anything to get them. I could say that that's a part of that is true. I can't say that it hasn't been, because there has been plenty of women that was thrown at me as well. Yeah, you'd be surprised. Yes, even through grade school, through high school, through college. And I never knew why. I didn't know why I was picked on, but I didn't know who I was either at the time. And so I started doing research and speaking to people who was pointing me out, out of the group. Only as I started mature with a little bit of knowledge where people start giving me the title of Morpheus. Okay. Alpha was in between, where they will point their fingers at, oh, you're the alpha of the class. You're the big guy here. Look how tall you are. You're this and that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm just like you. The trick is, it wasn't an easy time because I did not know what was going on at the time. And the decision that I make was neither intellectual or several decisions that was thought of. Okay. But it was always a going energy. There was always something that would be thrown before me. And of course, there were a lot of hit and misses, but I never looked at my life to be as any different than any other type of sensible man. All right. And coming across several women on the dime have built up a large plethora of information, of understanding what they are truly all about and what they are after. And once I started pulling away and being the best version of myself and studying and coming up with principles and standards, then the filtering began. As a matter of fact, even if they tried to throw themselves, even if they tried to, man, it's funny. What came to my mind just a few minutes ago. It's kind of funny. I think about it. It's funny how many times where I met women and there was no type of background check or anything like that, or, whether she was married or unmarried, she'll say, well, here I am. No, here I am. Now that I think about it, now that my mind goes back to my interaction with them, there were times even as a growing teenager, even older women would they'd throw themselves. I mean, they would go out of their way to make sure that I know that they're interested. There was one time where I actually visited school. I dropped off a friend of mine's child because he couldn't make it. He had to go trip out of town. And I think that's probably what helped me with my career, being a mentor and speaking to people and getting to know them and whatever the circles was. And it was kind of funny. I had to drop her off at the school. And I didn't know anything about it, but when I stopped by to pick the daughter up and call and say, yeah, your daughter's here. I'm here to, oh, okay, I'll be there at home at 6 o'clock. And I said, yeah, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And the girl wouldn't come out one day. I never forget. She was still inside. And so I'm like, okay, well, I know where her classroom is and, I'm allowed to go in there. I'm the guest, blah, blah. So I go up there to the principal's office, show my badge and all that. Oh, I'm here to pick up Louis so-and-so so I can take her home. Like, oh, okay. Well, she's upstairs room. Like, why are they still in that room? Dang. Okay. I guess at that time you can actually go in there before they let the students go. Because if you're a car rider, you can do that the last, 5-10 minutes of the classroom. They're going to be putting their jackets on anyway, get ready to leave. Right. So I go up there. I can never forget where this one teacher literally walked out of the classroom, and she did a double take when she was checking me out. Not to see, oh, you know, whose daughter is that? What are you doing? No, not kind of strange situation, more like a flirtatious type of thing, right? And as I walked past, she says, oh, who are you? Oh, I never seen your sexy bleep bleep here before. I'm turning around, I'm like, just excuse me, say, yeah, man, we need a hot male like you around here. Well, I like what I'm looking at. You got a girlfriend? And I'm thinking, wow. And to me at the time, that was very aggressive. It was very humorous. But it was normal. It was okay. It was something that I was accustomed to that. So I'm just smiling a little bit like, no, I'm not in any relationship. I guess it didn't help having a child next to me too. So she's thinking, this good looking guy here and this child next to him. So he must be a responsible father, so to speak, or he's a very responsible male. So he's in the loop. So he'll be good to be a traditional husband or something like that. Whatever it is, it didn't do me any justice, but it helped her attraction. I walked out of school. So, well, funny situation there. So, yeah, there have been plenty of opportunities where women would throw themselves. But here's the catch. The days I begin to have my principles and to set back, just like the alpha female in the story and the 5'11" guy in the story as well, no matter how tall or big you are. Okay. That's when the filtering began. That's when I was able to understand what they were all about and was able to use my reflective energies and just bounce them off. Say, no, I'm not interested. I don't stand for that. I'm not going to treat my relationship this way. And I prefer us to handle our relationship more cordial. And this is how what I expect and what I do not expect. Boundaries and principles, that sort of things, and jargon. Now, when this happened, women simply disappeared. They disappeared because they knew they could not take advantage of me. They knew I would not apply myself to their programs, and I had my own set pace. I had my own set idea, and I knew exactly what I wanted out of life. So from there, I began to constantly understand that I have the power to etch my life, to create what I want to create, to do what I needed to do. And so the more I begin to grow and understand who I am and what I was at the time, it came at a cost of being able to be at principle, have a foundation, and to reflect them and know what I wanted out of the world. Where the battles that I once had in the past were something of an ancient world. There was no need to get emotional about anything because I took control. I did what I needed to do in those particular situations and above and beyond. So you can imagine how year to year, I continue to grow, continue to understand, continue to take the red pill myself. And the student have became the teacher over and over and over again. And so I'm able to see the differences between what it means to be a man. Now, one of the problems that I have, and I don't get into the type of scuffle. The problem is men want to make themselves known. Nobody wants to be the second seat. They want to be, believe it or not, there are men who have pride. Men have pride, and pride is it's a big problem. And a lot of men wants to be number one. They want to be the one in the front seat. They want to be seen as the number one creator, whether they're alpha, whether they're masculine, whether they're just a boss or something like that. A lot of men, they beat on their chest. They want to be the monkey in the ring, or you could say Godzilla, who everybody looks up to or everybody praise. And I'm never in that circle. That's not anything that I'm interested in at all. I'm not interested in beating on my chest. I'm not interested in saying that I'm alpha because I'm alpha. I'm the number one. I told you about that in one of my audios. It's a shame I have to repeat this, but I'm giving an example here. Okay. It wasn't beating on my chest. I'm the best guy in the room, but I'm going to label myself King Kong. And I'm the king around here. Everybody's going to respect me. No. Absolutely. Actually, the proof is in the pudding. If you listen to my audios, what I said as an example is this is what you can do to be the best version of yourself as a man who doesn't have guidance, as a man, again, a growing boy who never had a father figure in his life, or a growing boy who's always been around his sisters. He's always been raised by his mom. He's been watching television showed him what men are supposed to be or what men are. Or there may be big brothers who are very aggressive. They back and forth in prison. They got a large criminal record. They don't want to hear what anybody has to say or tell them. So when I'm explaining alpha, red pill, man, masculine, strength, leadership, going forward, be the best you can be, it's based on, again, what did I tell you before? Example. It's based on example. Not trying to beat on my chest at all. It has nothing to do with me. As a matter of fact, I don't have to be creating this audio. I can do better, or let's just say I can do okay all by myself. I never had to put that on the audio. I never had to create this channel for us, but I do it for you. It's out of concern for my people, and it's out of concern for men, because I can care less what people think and how I stack up in the manosphere means nothing to Morpheus. It don't mean anything to me. I can care less. But because I've gotten so many requests about this, I don't know why it rushed in like that, but I guess men have that question. But I would tell you this: being alpha is irrelevant to who you are. Okay? Don't label yourself. That's one thing that you don't want to do, is label yourself. All right? And at the same time, don't be concerned about what you may hear or what you think and where you think you line up in the manosphere. What matters is where you know you line up at and what you're doing by your activity. And like I said, it's not about who you are. It's about what you do. There's plenty of famous men who are in the manosphere who makes plenty of money per year. And you see how small-minded they are. You see they're getting capped every year around, and they're making dumb decisions and dumb mistakes. You see the basketball players who is 6 foot tall making pretty much dumb mistakes. All right. You see football players, and have seen football players around the country who make plenty of money per year, but their thinking skills when it comes to talking socially with simple people is pretty much, it's not there. Okay, so it's not about what you look like. It's not about who you are. It's about what you do. Alpha is not who you are. It's what you do. Masculine is not who you are. It's what you do. Listen, beta, blue pill beta is not who you are. It's what you do. It's as simple as that. There's no need to get into I'm going to beat my chest match, because I'm the first one. I'm the first one to walk away. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm the first one to pack my suitcase up and walk away. I'll go somewhere else. I'll just sit down at the table and be like, y'all go ahead and have fun. Y'all go ahead and do a grudge match. Or what do you call that? Do Rugsby. And I'll sit at the table. I'll cross my legs and I'll sip on a Long Island iced tea and watch you act a fool. Everyone wants the number one spot. You understand? Having the number one spot is irrelevant. It's about you being the number one spot in your own world. This is what I show you, what I teach you. I want you to be the number one spot in your world. You be the alpha of yourself. You be what you know that you can be. You carve your own path and you own your own power. You be your own power. You sign your own books. You understand? Sign your own checks. You are the one who stand on a foundation that's based on you and what you know it's all about. So that in itself should give you a little bit of clarity and a little bit more detail of what I mean. And it should help you out when you hear other people talk about this, because social media is it's a vast platform of many opinions. There are plenty of people who will tell you how they feel or what they think about a certain thing. But my task is to tell you is you figure it out for yourself by being the best that you can. And by knowing who you are and having a thorough foundation of your own experience and your own strength, then you are able to determine the difference between pro and con. Or you can filter the situation out where you know that it's all about the definition. It's not about the word. People talk. We speak about many subjects and many things, but it's irrelevant to what you do. What you do and how you provide for the community is what matters. What you produce as a valuable male, that's what's important. It don't matter what your name is, no matter who you are. Most times that's irrelevant. But small-minded individuals will be focused on that because they are low human frequencies. They are the lowest hanging fruit, the lowest denominator. Okay? But what they don't understand is those are irrelevant because what you do is what really makes the wave. How you are producing and changing the environment is what actually gives you validity. What you do in your own time, in your gym, in your circle, in your people, in your family, and those who love you, that's where your seeds will really surface. And I hope this have helped some of you. This is Leon C., aka Morpheus. Let's continue to learn and grow.